Welcome to Chica sa Casa. Welcome back to Chica sa Casa. I'm your host, Argentina, and today we're diving headfirst into a chapter that's bound to ignite your musical curiosity. Imagine this, the pages of a diary filled with notes that become stories, emotions that become soundscapes. We are about to unravel the Omi Khan Diaries, Unplugged and Untamed, a journey that's as vibrant as it is raw, and as captivating as it is unscripted. At the heart of this adventure is an artist who's redefining what it means to be a self-taught musician. You know him as Omar Khan, a name that resonates with passion, creativity, and a genre-blurring artistry that will keep you on your toes. From local performances to international stages, Omi's music isn't just a soundtrack. It's a portal that seamlessly merges pop, R&B, soul, hip-hop, and folk into a harmonious tapestry that speaks to the soul. But that's not where the story ends. Picture this, sharing stages with legends like Prince, Majid Jordan, Jesse Reyes, Aloe Black. And here's the mic drop moment, being handpicked as one of the chosen few from across the globe to lend his voice to Song for Someone, a single by rock legends U2. So get ready, because we're about to dive into the Omi Khan Diaries, Unplugged and Untamed. It's a journey that celebrates creativity in its most raw and authentic form. With each note, we'll explore what it means to nurture creativity and fuel growth. So tune in and turn it up as we embark on this music adventure with the amazing Omi. Welcome, Omi!
Hello!
And welcome to Chica sa Casa. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to chat with you. It feels like it's been 100 years since we last spoke. How have you
Right? At
been,
least
first and foremost?
I've been so good. It's so interesting because I know we had met during the pandemic and now everything has sort of cooled down.
Mm.
It's like getting back into real life and finding my feet again. So that's been interesting. It's been really good though. I can't complain, honestly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And okay, brief intro or brief background of how we met. How I met your Omi.
Yes.
Well, you tell the story. Go.
So we were on this app called, are we allowed to say its name?
I guess
Yeah,
so.
we were on an app
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Clubhouse. It's a social audio app, and we had met one night. I think it was for me. It was like 8 p.m. And Argentina used to host a room where we'd go in and we'd sing very quietly and lovingly, and we just connected from there. And then we did a bunch of shows on the app, and Argentina did a bunch of concerts with me. Those times were just the best.
Concerts, hosting the concert, not singing with him, just in case people get it. But I'm doing
Hosting,
concerts.
and would have packed rooms, and it was such a unique time for that app.
That was
Um,
amazing. Those were the days, eh? And it's like,
it really was special days, and I don't know if we'll get to live those again. So I savor those moments
mm.
and hold on to them. Like, you know what, that was so sweet.
Yeah, that was
Um,
that was something. Like I
yeah,
think having that platform during that time where you can do anything, you're in a lockdown, right? And I think being able to connect with people just through their voice,
yeah,
it was quite an intimate moment, and I think we really got a chance to really get to know people in depth, right? Not just their
yeah,
title, because who would connect you and I, like in the real world, the chances of us meeting would probably be slim,
yeah.
right? Like we operate in a different world. You're a musician, and I do my own things
Uh,
here. And it's like it's amazing.
100%. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
hundred
let's talk
percent.
about, I really appreciate you taking the time as always. Every time I call on you, you're always willing to take the time. And
Yes.
we've spoken a lot in terms of your life, your music journey. And
Yeah.
I want a lot of people to get to know you and your story, because I think it's very, very inspiring. So if you don't mind, Omi, can you share a bit about your musical journey and how you discovered your passion for music?
Yeah, of course. Like, I remember being just a young kid, and just being a big fan of music itself. I was really into classical music,
Hmm.
interestingly enough. But unfortunately, I was about 8 years old and I asked my grandmother if I could take violin lessons. And she said no. She said no. And she said, "Why don't you play this?" And she literally bought me an organ. And I don't know about you guys, it feels like every household during that time had an organ, and nobody played the organ, but like the big organs, with the foot pedal and the two
Like
tier
the church
piano,
organs.
the church organs. Like my grandma's like, "You wanted violin lessons, so I bought you an organ." But then that didn't work out. And then I was in a singing group. We were signed. We recorded our first album when I was 18 in New York. We had a song on the radio, and then the group we disbanded. And then for a while, I just sort of was trying to find my way and what I wanted to do. And then I worked with this management company and ended up opening up for like Prince and Bilal. And we did a show for Sarah McLachlan, Voices in the Park, with Stevie Nicks, Bill Clinton, and then recorded a bunch of songs. And then from there, I like wrote a song and I had it in a movie on Netflix with Ali Wong and Always Be My Maybe,
I
which
love that
then I
show.
ended up, yeah, and then I ended up doing like a couple shows with Ali, and that was cool. And now I feel like it's interesting because like I have a new song coming out on August 11th on Friday, and I'm really excited to put this music out finally. But because now I'm a social media manager for a rock band,
Mm.
and they're doing pretty well. So it just was inspiring. I'm like, okay, well, this is all we need to do.
Yeah.
And so
Wow,
yeah,
you're doing
so
so many great things from the sound of it.
yeah,
And I'm so
yeah.
happy. I'm so happy seeing your updates
Thank you,
on your social
thank
media. So
you.
it's really remarkable. So I really want to understand, like in your journey, what inspired you to pursue music? Because it seemed like it's an innate thing for you, right? So what was
Yeah,
that? What was that? That's it. I'm gonna pursue
it,
this.
it's so there. I've always wanted to be a singer. I will
Mm,
always, but it was the bringing people together that I
mm,
really loved, because even when I was younger, it was like I didn't want to sing by myself. I mean, it was like you sing, let's be a singing group. You know what I mean?
mm,
And that's literally how the singing group started. I like literally
mm,
like you sing, like, so it was always about bringing people together. And then you get into the business of it, and then you see the reality of what this
mm,
business is, how difficult it is.
mm,
It takes much more than just talent. And it takes a dollar. You have to spend money to make money in this business.
mm,
But now at my age, what inspires me the most is that I'm just like, this is literally what I was meant to do. Like I'm thinking like I could be a web developer, I could go do social media management full throttle. I do enjoy my job a lot.
mm.
But music is something that I feel that I am meant to do.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That-
I don't know.
isn't that so amazing though? Like, there's a lot of people that go through their lives up to the later part of their lives, not knowing what they're meant to do, not knowing what they're here for. But you knew, as a young kid that this is what I live for. This is what I'm meant to do.
Exactly. I've had a really tough life. I've had a very tough upbringing. I was adopted by my grandparents, and they passed away when I was very young,
Mm,
and so I had a lot of challenges that I had dealt with. That I think my biggest obstacle was kind of me, and
mm,
in realizing that, like, I made lots of money, and that was great,
mhm,
but I was still not completely satisfied.
mm,
I say that because now I feel like I feel good, and I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to put this stuff out.
mhm. No, but that's even, I wonder in terms of, when you're going through life and that you know that this is what you're meant to do, and knowing that your upbringing was not the easiest. Um, and when we're trying to pursue our passion, we also need the cheerleaders, right? Growing up, did you have any cheerleader? Like, who was your biggest cheerleader when you decided that, this is what this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pursue music. Did you have anyone in your corner that was like, yes, go for it, type of thing?
I had some close friends, definitely close friends.
Mm,
My family wasn't very supportive of it at all.
mm,
But I often think, if my grandmother was around, like now I can like afford to take care of her. I'm sure she'd
mm,
be like, I'm sure she'd be like, oh, this is what you should be doing. But I really have to say, in the words of Snoop Dogg, I would like to thank me,
mm.
because I thought about this the other day, and no, this is not about flying my ego, but I really want to thank
No.
me, because at the end of the day, I could have been in a very bad place. Like,
Mm,
like I could have been on the streets. I could have been doing something very bad. But at the end
mhm.
of the day, it was me that's kept going. So I was my biggest cheerleader, and I still am,
Mhm.
even when it's hard sometimes.
I love that because I was just having a conversation earlier with someone, and we were talking about, how there are certain people in your life, especially family, that they would try to like emotionally manipulate you into something and say, because of me, you owe me this type of attitude. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's not because of you. It's in spite of you. I was
For
able to
real.
what
Because
I
sometimes,
accomplished.
right? Like people are sometimes intimidated and afraid of what you could become.
Hmm.
And I was very sensitive always. And so I really dimmed my light for a lot of years because
Mm.
I didn't want anyone to make anyone feel less of themselves. But now I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not my job. Now my job is to shine bright, and anybody who will be inspired by that can shine brighter. So
Mm.
sometimes you have to be your own cheerleader because whether you like it or not, some people are not going to cheer you on. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be there at the end of the day, be like, I got your back.
Mm. Okay, let me simmer in that for a bit because that's such an amazing message. You know, and it's true. I think, that's something that you and I
So
can share
true.
because we both had tough, really tough upbringing. But we also like went for it and just pushed through, right? So, one of the many things why you're my favorite.
Pat on our backs. People might be like, that's so cocky, but if you don't have you, you don't have anybody. And that's just
Exactly.
the reality of realities.
That's
Yeah.
it. And I was actually that gave me a thought earlier too, wherein you know how people say you make me happy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? We need to rephrase that. We need to make ourselves happy. And if other people want to join in that happiness, that should be our mission, not make it our mission to find someone to make us happy. Right?
100%. And this is what goes wrong, I think, in relationships. I see it all the time.
Mm.
Nobody, you can add to the happiness. And that right there is amazing. Like my friends are all in relationships and they're like, I'm like, I love being single. I don't know. I just love being I don't know. I don't know if
Okay.
that's a
Should
problem
we switch?
actually.
What's
Oh
going
yeah,
on?
sorry.
No, I'm just
Yeah, let's talk
okay.
about
Well, speaking of happiness, okay,
yeah.
I actually want to ask this. I ask this question to all my guests. It's such a simple question, but it makes you pause, right? What makes you happy?
Ooh, what makes me happy? And it's so funny because lately I've been only like doing things that really bring me joy.
Hmm.
And I like, I think what makes me happy, well, one, it's my dog. Two, it's my moments of solitude that I get to be by myself. I'm so grateful for these moments that I get
Mm.
to be by myself. Um, but what makes me really happy is, um, and it, I saw this TikTok the other day, and this lady said, "I just bought a Range Rover, and it's the happiest day of my life." And I said, "The happiest day of your life is buying a car?"
Mm.
And so, what makes me happy is being with people, being in the company of good people,
Mm.
family, being around my nieces and my nephews,
Mm.
and seeing what, being a positive role model and seeing what lights them up. So the things that make me happy are the people in my life, and that's it. Like
Mm.
I'm not like people like making money or accomplishments. Those are all like cherries on the cake, and they can bring momentary happiness, but
Hmm.
it's love. Love at the end of the day is being around people.
I love it. Yes.
I mean,
So many
that's
yeses.
the happiest days of our lives. I mean, yes, don't mind me when I buy a Rolls Royce. I'm like, this is the happiest day of my week, but not my life,
Of my day,
not
sure.
my day.
you know but yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. And the thing is too, when I ask that question, when people think about it, most of the answers that I get are things that you can't buy with money, and that's really telling, right? Like it's such a great perspective shift in terms of when we're going through our daily lives and we're stressing about all of the other things, and then you just like, what, that actually doesn't matter. you know
yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we go through it on it every day. Some kind of
Mm.
inner battle. Yeah.
Let's go back to your music, right?
Yes.
Because I know that you mentioned before that you're a self-taught musician, and knowing that you didn't really have a lot of support from the family side in you pursuing your music, um, how did you overcome those challenges and actually, you know, you're self-taught? Like that means you didn't have access to actually going to classes like, other people might, right? And then how did you navigate that?
Well, it was interesting. Like, my grandparents, they had a very hard life themselves too. So raising
Mm-hmm.
me was tough. So they didn't care that I wasn't home or anything. So I was
Mm.
lucky to be surrounded by people that were into music and that loved to sing. So that's literally, it was just being around my friends and a supportive system where they also did music. And it was like, if I didn't have music, again, I'd be somewhere else, I think, so music saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so being around people really is what helped me. Yeah.
Mm.
If that answers the
Yeah,
question
no, and
exactly.
that makes sense. Community, having the right type of people that also
Yeah.
shares interests, and good thing that you had access to that, right? So that's really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Because we get a lot of, like, working for the band, they have quite a big fan base of young kids, and they always ask, how do I do music? And I always say, get together with people that also do music, and you'll find a way.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be around the right environment.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
had the opportunity to open for artists like Prince, Mitchie Jordan, Jesse Reyes, who I love, by the way, and Aloe Black. What were those experiences like, and what lessons did you take away from sharing the stage with these legends?
All of them are so kind, very kind people. Like, cause I got to actually speak with them and hang out with them.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because, like, everybody is just so kind. And what I learned mostly from them is, discipline. You saw that they weren't, back in the day in the 80s or something, they'd all be drunk or something's going on, they're always messy.
We wouldn't
It
know.
was
We're
we
too
were
young.
young kids.
We're like,
I think I was an embryo then. But like, you hear all these weird stories about celebrities and stuff, but the one thing that I find from most of these people is they're very hardworking, they're very
Mm,
disciplined, and they're very disciplined in their art.
mhm. That's amazing.
And yeah, yeah, some
How was
pretty cool
that? Like in
experiences.
opening for Prince, you actually got a chance to hang out with Prince as well?
So that was a really interesting story because so I was part of a company called the Hastings Set,
Mm.
and actually, if you it was the unfortunate circumstance about that is I was the only one from the Hastings Set that opened up for Prince, but it was the Hastings Set was on the bill. It wasn't like Omar
Mm.
Khan. It was the Hastings Set. So you
Mm.
can go check out Prince's vault. He has a vault of all of his shows, and you can see the December show with the Hastings Set. But that was a really cool experience. A good friend of mine actually, well, I haven't spoken to her, so like a friend that I hold dear, Amanda Maiden, she is actually Prince's goddaughter, and her father is Rufus, from Shaka Khan and Rufus.
Oh, wow.
And so she was always like, when I opened up for Prince, she's like, did Prince, like, you know what? I don't want to say too much. I want to say off the record, but okay, I will say. Sorry, I don't know why I got into that tangent because I forgot that we're on a podcast and we're not in a private conversation here. Sorry, I don't want to say too much, but I will say I did get to say hello to Prince, and he did watch my set.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, we'll chat
and it
about
was
that stuff
cool.
when it's off record and you can tell me the full
Yeah,
story.
but Prince is a legend, and he did it at Bar None. It was in Vancouver in 2012, and
Hmm.
he was incredible. And I don't know if you guys know, the Prince does a private show after every stadium show. In Edmonton, he did one at a sushi restaurant. He just pulled up to the sushi restaurant with his
Wow.
guitar, and
Wow.
people were eating sushi, and they're like, "Is that Prince singing Purple Rain at the sushi restaurant?" Like, yes, this is how wild this man was. And yeah, it was just an unbelievable experience. And to this day, I sometimes have to pinch myself to be like, "Wow,
I'm sure that was like a pinch me moment, right? Just
yeah,
being
yeah."
there.
Because you don't get to open up for Prince. You have to have Prince's approval. Like, he has to
Hmm.
say yeah. Yeah, he has to say yes to you. But how I got that gig is I was singing backups for an artist, and we opened up for De La Soul, and Prince's DJ saw me and was like, "We got to get this guy to open up for Prince." And then they sent a demo to him, and apparently he loved the demo. He had been listening to it all week, and then I went on stage, and so that was a really cool experience.
Amazing. I know that you just released a new song.
It's coming out, coming out.
It's coming out. Okay.
Yeah.
And can you walk us through your songwriting process? Like what inspires the themes, the emotions that you infuse into your music?
Yeah, how it works for me is I will sometimes just play around on the guitar or the keyboard, and then I'll think of a melody, and then for every single song that I've ever written, there's a demo that sounds like do 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 ba do ra ra hoo 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 loo 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 la la la, and I'll write the melody, and
Yeah.
then I listen back to the melody, and sometimes the melody sound like words, and then I'll write
Mm.
those words, and then I'll write the song to that to those words. So it's weird because I'll be freestyling the melody, completely freestyling it. And then you find those magic moments where like, wow, that melody felt so good. And then I'll write that melody. So that's how I do it.
Wow. That just
Yeah.
blew my mind because I'm like, what would be the process to write a song? And I'm like thinking, of course, you're gonna write like you're gonna figure out your inspiration and then figure out the words, the lyrics to the song, and then connect with someone to help you out with the melody. So yours is
Yeah.
actually melody first, and then
Then
wow.
I shape the words. Like I'll be singing the melody like um and then the we would sound like we don't, and then I would
Mm,
write we don't, and then I'd kind of elaborate on that. That's how I kind of write music.
wow. And then you just create the
Yeah.
whole story
And then it creates
from
a
that.
song and from that, yeah. And it's so funny because Caitlin Charters is the same thing.
She does the same thing, Caitlin.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of singers will, they'll start off with a melody and then they'll write the words around it.
Hmm.
Melody is so key and important. I think, when you're freestyling a song, like
Yeah.
you're actually pulling that melody from somewhere. It's coming from somewhere. So
Mm,
I always say when I write and I come up with a melody that feels good and gives me goosebumps, I'm like,
mm,
that was a melody that was given to me by something. And now
mm,
my job is to personify and clarify the sound. And
mm,
that's why I think the greatest songwriters and the greatest songs, literally those melodies came from somewhere else.
mm.
And we just are the vessel to, you know, put it in. Like the song from the Ali Wong movie, I wrote that song in 10 minutes. And because I wrote that song in 10 minutes, it got to live the life that it lived because it came from somewhere else. That's why I think the greatest songs that ever lived literally came from somewhere else because it's like God is somehow right
Mm,
putting a hand in it's creativity, movies, TV, writing, pre-writing. When you get that inspiration, you're tapping into an energy that is on the outside realm. And that's what I think a lot of music these days is because music these days, a lot of people write from the ego of
mm-hmm,
what they think sounds good, what
mm-hmm,
should, and then they're not connecting with the
mm,
soul.
mm-hmm.
That's my opinion.
Have you ever gotten a request from people that would say, "Hey, can you write me a song about this?" And then, like, how do you like? What's the creative process?
Oh, that those are the toughest sometimes, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
When
Just
someone
because
goes,
your
"Hey, can you?"
process, you start with the melody, and then
Yeah,
it's like a natural progression. It's like just a natural creation in your brain, right? Like it just come about organically.
yeah.
But when someone
I've
gives you this, and it's like it's their words and it's their story, how do you connect as an artist?
you know what I've written like that in songwriting camps or like we've done some SoCan songwriting camps. And I would say it's one of the hardest ways for me to write. And
Mm,
I never connected with a song after.
mm,
Um, but yeah, that's really tough. That's definitely tough to
mm,
do that way for sure. But I'm up for a challenge. I think uh, part of honing in on your craft is being able
mm.
to work in those any
But you're
circumstance.
also very creative. I've seen you do it in like the clubhouse rooms too, and you just
Yeah,
like whip up something really quick. I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? Right? And
yeah.
you're such a quick thinker, and you're very witty and funny.
Thank you.
And you just have this natural personality where people gravitate towards you, and it's just like it's magical to
Oh,
actually witness your genius sometimes. And I'm just like, who is this person?
oh, thank you. Thank
No,
you.
it's true because you, one of the probably frustrating part being part of the music industry for you is um honoring your creativity, who you are, and then balancing it with commercial success, right? So how do you
100%.
handle
I don't. To hell with it. No,
that?
I'm definitely not. I don't fit in the box of what is moldable in the music business, and
Mm,
and I think we're reaching a point in music where people prefer that. Because it represents the vast majority of us who don't fit in these boxes, like this perfect pop star kind of
mm,
look. Perfection is so overrated. But how do I? You know, it's interesting because I am a pop writer. I do write pop songs. I think I'm a pop writer. I sing soul music, but I with a pop sensibility. But I listen to pop music, so I love listening to it, and so creating it is easy for me. But um, I don't do well with the pressures of the current day industry, and I don't like fitting in boxes. And
Mm,
I think we are in a place where there is space for everybody now. So
mm.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. And I like that you're being true to yourself and not really caving into what everyone expects of you, right?
Yeah. I would say this, and I don't know, like, I love anybody to challenge me on this, but, I think, artists like Beyonce and Taylor Swift, and, they're kind of the last of this generation where an artist will own majority of the music space,
Mm,
because Taylor Swift, she owns the music space. Beyonce, they own the music space.
hmm.
But can you name an artist in the last 5 years that you would think is going to own the music space in the next 5 years? It's really difficult to think of an
Mm,
artist that is new that is going to, do that, because now I think it's all about subcultures. It's all about communities. So small communities. So you're going to see
hmm.
all these artists, but there's not going to be one artist that owns the whole space of music. Like
Yeah.
like before, you just hear like five artists on the radio. I
Hmm.
think those days are gone. So yeah,
Wow. It's so interesting how, we've witnessed how it all evolved, right? From like the
yeah.
cassette tapes to now streaming. It's like,
What's a cassette tape?
hello. You used to rewind it with a pen, remember?
You know, Interesting. Here's another interesting fact.
Hmm.
Cassette cassette tapes, the manufacturing companies are running out of cassette tapes
Oh yeah.
because cassette tapes are back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids are buying Sony
Wild.
Walkmans,
Well, they're vintage.
just like just like my socks, all
I knew you
vintage.
were gonna say something. But anyways, uh, I want to, okay, before we wrap this up, is there a specific piece of advice or insight you'd like to share with fellow artists or anyone aspiring to pursue a career in music?
Yes, don't give up.
Mm,
But also, you have to really know who you are. I think what it is, one thing that I've been learning is they say it can take a lifetime to sound like yourself.
mm,
Well, for some people, unfortunately, artists have a very short shelf life. So it's like you got to figure that out. You got to figure that out because once you know who you are, no one can tell you who to be.
mm-hmm,
And I think the artists that resonate with people know who they are. But I mean, so my biggest advice is, enjoy your life, love your life, and you don't have to be a starving artist. You can work a full-time job. It just means you're going to have to put in more hours after work.
mm-hmm,
You're going to have to work so hard, and knowing that this is a business. So your business, you have to be good at business. You have to understand how the business works. At the end of
mm,
the day, your talent will get your talent will knock down doors for you, but your business will make you stay in the room. And
mm,
you need to really understand the business. You need to know how to work with people. You need to know how to negotiate with people. You need to
mm,
know that you need to cover all your bases, your websites, your monies, your royalty rights, your contracts. You have to be on top of your business because no one is going to have your back like you do in this business. Because
mm.
people are ready to take advantage of you left, right, and center in this business. So you have to educate yourself. Educate on, there's so many resources. Go online, educate yourself, practice your craft every day, work really hard, and never falter.
Great advice. Thank you, Omi. So, last
Of
question:
course.
what can your fans and listeners expect from your upcoming projects or releases, and where can they find you?
Let me tell you something, okay? I'm gonna toot my own horn. I had one song out called "People." I put it out on my SoundCloud or whatever, and the next thing you know, iHeartRadio called and said, "You know what? We want to put this into rotation in our mainstream radio." And I remember going online and seeing my song sandwiched in between Demi Lovato and Drake, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's me!" Like independent artist. I wrote and produced the song. I did this all by myself, and then life happens, and then my second song came out, ended up being in a movie. So I was like, you know what? I think God really wants this for me. I think God's like, yo, everything you put out is going to touch gold. So I'm going to say this with the most confidence. The songs that I have that are coming out are going to be big. They're going to be, you're going to love them. I think they're hits. I've always believed in the music, but now I finally believe in myself enough to say that I believe in it. So expect good music, expect good melodies, good subject themes, just a good feeling. Like I guarantee you're gonna hear the song like this is really good. And I want people to be like, this is really good, but I want to hear more. I want people to say that. I want them to say, I want to hear more. And you will hear more. And I actually want to say something real quick. I normally, traditionally, you would get signed to a record label, and then the record label would fund your music. I recently sold 20%. That's 1% each to 20 of my closest friends for $200 each. I was able to raise $4,000 capital for my marketing, for my mixing, for my producing, so I can fund. So not only did my closest fans fund the music, they all will earn a residual income from the song. So if this song gets placed, if it gets in a movie, they're getting a check. When it gets to 1 million streams, they're getting a check. So now I'm going to work on powering the community. Community will be able to buy shares like they do stock, but in residuals for royalties, and they will get the money back. So that's literally what I'm excited about too.
Amazing. I love it. And how can listeners find you?
So the song will be out on Friday, August 11th. And actually, I don't know when this interview will be out, but if you pre-save this song, you will be entered automatically for a chance to win $100 cash. So you pre-save the song, get entered, win $100. Pretty cool, right? But you can listen on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Deezer, YouTube Music, all of it.
Amazing. Thank you, Omi. And I'm sure it's going to be huge, the release of this new song, because I've already I listened to a bit of it and I'm like, I'm so excited.
I know. I'm excited too. Thank you so much, Argentina. Thank you so much for having me, and big hugs.
Yes. Thank you. I love you.
Love you guys. Love you. Bye.
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 Thank you for joining us on this episode of Chica Sa Casa. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay connected, be sure to subscribe to Chica Sa Casa on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or simply want to say hello, feel free to email us at chicasacasa@gmail.com. Remember, Chica Sa Casa isn't just a podcast. It's a movement where hearts connect, stories inspire, and cultures unite. We are building a community where your voice matters. Thank you for being a part of the Chica Sa Casa family. This is Argentina. Until next time.